This is CU Sports Mag. Rodney Stewart back in the lineup versus USC, but would it be enough? And the Rams and Buffs on ice at the Pepsi Center, and the Pac-12 crowns its newest champs. They're from Boulder.
CU Sports Mag starts now. Hello and welcome to this week's Sports Mag. I'm Paul Harrison alongside Mr. Andrew Tomasini. And Andrew, Folsom Field was absolutely electric last week.
It was electric in Colorado. Welcomed USC here for the first time during Pac-12 play. It was going to be a tough matchup. Let's check out those highlights. First time the SoCal crew, Lane Kiffin and Matt Barkley, get a taste of Ralphie and the Buffs in Pac-12 play. And boy, were they for real. Matt Barkley would do his part, but the Buffs would receive the coin toss and elect to receive first offensive play for CU. Hansen to Stewart for 11 yards on this one to the Colorado 42-yard line. Rodney looking sharp off an injury here early. Same drive, 2nd and 10. Tyler rolling right, looking for an open receiver, and he got him. That's Tony Clemens for a 14-yard pitch and catch, following an 8-yard Stewart run from the SC 36. Hansen to Clemens, quick juke at the 20, and that'd be all TC would need to take it to the house. Buffs with the swagger early, 7-zip. But Matt Barkley wouldn't let USC fall behind too quickly here. Pump fake, looking to his left, and he finds Marquise Lee. This would tie it up, and boy, this would start the onslaught between Barkley and Lee here at Folsom Field. And yep, pretty much from here, it turned into a slugfest for USC as Roby Nickel chops down Rodney Stewart. But hey, at least we've got the cross-country title here, as congrats to the men's and women. But again, story of the evening, first and goal, Matt Barkley, pinpoint accuracy for the 5-yard score to Xavier Gamble, 14-7 Trojans. Again, Barkley to Robert Woods for the 15-yard score. SC simply rolling now, and the band from Southern California is absolutely loving it here as well in the Rocky Mountain air. But skip ahead to the second quarter now. First and 10. Guess what? Barkley to Lee yet again. 25 yards, 7 plays, 80 yards for SC in just 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Lee had 9 catches for 142 yards. Fourth quarter, 35-17 now. Trojans figure, hey, you know what? Why don't we just run through the middle and see if it works? And sure enough, it does. Carlisle catches a Barkley 6 touchdown pass on the day, and USC wins 42-17. Tyler Hansen, he had a decent day.
He did. He was 13 for 37, 250 yards. Rodney Stewart still put in a strong performance, 88 yards, 21 carries, but it was pretty much all USC. Matt Barkley, 318 yards, 6 TDs with an INT, and Carlisle for USC's finishing out 10 carries and 90 yards.
It was a tough game for the Buffs, but obviously they weren't the only team playing last weekend. Let's check out those Pac-12 highlights. And here we go. This one's from Cal. Cal and WSU will cap his only carry on the day, and it was a good one. 43 yards for the score. 30-7 is the score there. Cal cruises to their 5th win in a row. The Cal Bears just absolutely destroying it now. And we'll move on to Oregon. Here's LaMichael James gets the handoff from Darren Thomas, and LaMichael James goes to the left side and doesn't look back. Oregon cruises in this one. Big win for the Ducks. And here goes Stanford. Andrew Luck throwing another touchdown pass. What else is new? Stanford and Oregon will hook up this weekend in a huge matchup in Palo Alto. Moving on, probably the best game of the weekend. Nelson Rosario, 76-yard pass from Kevin Prince, makes it 23-14. Big win for UCLA. 4-2 in the Pac-12. 4-2 in the Pac-12 is Arizona State as well, but let's check this one out again. Just a perfect pass from Kevin Prince to Nelson Rosario. Remember that name. This one was a huge pass. 76-yard score. 29-28 was the final. In the final game of the Pac-12 roundup here, John White, 27 carries, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. Utah cruises to win this one versus Arizona.
For the Buffs' 5th and final home game will draw strong emotions for many of the athletes. It will be their last time to ever play at Folsom Field. Now, Andy McDonald shows us how a win could spell something more than something special for the seniors and John Embry in Boulder.
Well, you know, and I've been telling them this for a while, you're really going to miss it.
And takes a whale of a shot.
28 seniors will play their final game in Boulder on Saturday.
We're doing senior day a little differently. We're going to, right after warm-ups, introduce the seniors. So obviously we'd love the people that are coming to be here to thank them, just so we can go in the locker room and run out behind Ralphie one more time.
John Embry has stressed to all the players, including his underclassmen, to enjoy and play hard every time they step out on the field.
You know, those are the guys that have to continue to have the sense of urgency, the younger guys, because you always think like your time's never going to end. You know, you think, I'm here forever.
Embry, who has been key on restoring tradition at Colorado, has asked the younger players to write letters to the seniors.
And spun down.
There's a lot of guys that deeply care about each other and about their teammates, and I was surprised at how selfless a lot of these guys were.
The love for their teammates was palpable, but their grammar, well, it was pungent.
You could tell this is the texting generation. Not that I'm Mr. Scripps Howard spelling bee champ, but golly. I mean, these guys, I don't know Wheel of Fortune's going to make it much longer with this generation coming up.
John Embry might not be able to buy a vowel, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't love to purchase a victory on Saturday against Arizona. A win would mean so much for 29 Buffs, including Embry, who was unable to accomplish that feat on his senior day 25 years ago in Boulder. At Folsom Field, Andy McDonald, CU Sports Mag.
Coming up after the break, we'll welcome one of the final 3 teams from the Pac-12 Conference.
And the cross-country team won their first ever Pac-12 title, but they're just getting started. Don't go anywhere.
Right? Do I look like a commingled contender to you? All I want is newspaper.
Why don't you bring that bottle over here? I won't be spitting it back at you.
Alright, boy, why don't you bring that bottle over here to commingle so these boys stop bickering and ruin my night.
This Saturday, the Buffs prepare for their final home game this season against the Arizona Wildcats. Sports Mag's David LaRose continues with our 11-part series on the new Pac-12 opponents, with an inside look into the boys from Tucson.
Bear down is the official motto of the Arizona Wildcats, but this season has not gone the way that Zona fans envisioned, which led to the firing of head coach Mike Stoops. After sputtering to a 1-5 start, change was needed, and in-stepped interim coach Tim Kish. While Kish has only gone 1-2 in his first 3 games as head coach, he still is excited to be there and is enjoying the ride.
It's been a wild ride. It's been a good journey. I absolutely love being in front of these kids. They're so positive, and the seniors have been absolutely tremendous. With the ownership of this team.
Give Nick plenty of time.
One of those seniors taking charge and showing leadership is standout quarterback Nick Foles. Foles is widely considered one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, but he feels honored to be in such great company.
Oh, it's fun. I mean, just to be here with these guys, we play against each other, year in, year out, and just to be here in a great conference is an honor. It's an honor to be with these guys, just playing, and I've grown up just dreaming about playing college football, and I'm getting to live it every day.
While a bowl game is out of reach this season for Tim Kish and the rest of the Wildcats, they are still playing to win with the big picture in mind.
We want to win a football game. We want to win as many as we can win all the way out, but we've got the bigger picture that we're dealing with as well.
David LaRose, CU Sports Mag.
As Nick Foles and the Arizona Wildcats invade Folsom Field on Saturday, that got us thinking about this week's trivia question. When was the last time CU and Arizona squared off in football? Mull that one over for a little bit, and we'll have the answer later on in the show.
The Pac-12 is the Conference of Champions, and the Buffs cross-country teams were the first ever to be crowned a champion in this young season. The men and women's teams swept tough competition in Tempe last week and look to carry the momentum with them into the NCAA Nationals. Andy McDonald continues to follow their journey one step at a time.
It was so exciting. I thought I was going to be in tears.
The men's and women's cross-country teams stole the show and ran away with the first ever Pac-12 championship.
It was really exciting. We won the Big 12's my freshman year, the cross-country title. And at the time, I didn't realize how special it was until, we didn't have it for, that period of time. And then, to get it again, it was really special and exciting.
Coach Mark Wetmore tells his team to take one step at a time.
On your marks.
And both cross-country squads will try to carry the momentum of a Pac-12 championship in stride to nationals.
Honestly, that's what we're training for. We're training for the 10K, and that's what our main goal is nationals.
Both teams are ranked inside the top 5 in the nation, and the experience from team leaders like Richard Medina and Shalala Kipp are keeping them focused with their eyes directly on the big prize.
Racing, it's, you never want to go out there and put a number, but yeah, we're fit. We're training really hard. We still are. We're still training really well, and everyone's healthy. So, there's no reason why we shouldn't have a good race. Everyone should be going in there confident.
Anything's possible, I guess, on race day.
Andy McDonald, CU Sports Mag.
A top 150 national prospect is returning to the CU men's basketball team. Now, freshman forward Damian Kane quit the team on September 11th to focus on the school books instead of the playbooks. However, Coach Tad Boyle confirmed on November 4th that Kane was back working with the individual drills with CU coaches. Boyle later announced Kane's official return to the team.
It wasn't a lot of up and down, so it wasn't a physically taxing practice. And again, everything that's coming at Damian is new. And so he's probably on sensory overload right now. But he brings a lot to practice. He brings a low post presence and a strength and a presence down there that is going to help our team.
With Colorado's football season kind of wrapping up, we're going to bring in David LaRose now to talk about the start of the Colorado basketball season. We're going to talk strictly about the men here today, but opening night tonight, season opener for Fort Lewis. What do you have for us?
Right. Oh, it is a great time of year, especially for CU athletics. We need a little bit morale around this place. We need to boost the morale a little bit, and Tad Boyle has what the doctor ordered. Last year, the Buffs finished 24-13, a school record in wins, but they did lose Alec Burks, Corey Higgins, Marcus Relford, and Levi Knutson, about 75% of the scoring, Andrew. And it's going to be tough to replace those guys for this season.
Absolutely. Now, you talked about all the guys who left, but talk about who will replace these guys like Knutson and Burks who are gone now, off doing other things.
Absolutely. Carlin Brown, a transfer from Utah, is going to be able to play this season after sitting out last year due to transfer rules. Austin Dufault is back. Shane Harris-Tunks is coming off a torn ACL injury, and he's back this season, and he's a big body down low that we can really use. And then Andre Roberson, there's been talk about him all offseason, improving his shot, becoming one of the star players of the team, and look to see him explode this year onto the national scene.
As you look up and down the schedule, last year one of the knocks on CU was in terms of why they didn't get into the NCAA tournament was because their early schedule was rather weak. Now you look at the schedule, has that changed? Do they have a better shot in terms of moving forward the early portion of the schedule?
Well, not necessarily. Looking at their early schedule, they start off with Fort Lewis on Friday night, which is their first game of the season, and then they go to the Puerto Rico tip-off, which can be good for them. They have Alabama, Wichita State, teams that they were in the NIT last year. But overall, they play Georgia at home and Fresno State at home. So I don't think that they actually improve their non-conference schedule, which might knock them earlier in the year. But the thing is, they just have to win those games.
Well, thanks a lot, David. Should be an exciting season. And I know I'm looking forward to Colorado basketball. I don't know about you, Paul.
Absolutely. But after the break, Alexis Perry and Audie Streetman talk some more football in this week's Double Team.
And CU's club hockey team takes on state rival CSU at the Pepsi Center. Better stick around.
Former CU student, football player, Olympian, and world champion. But most importantly, I'm a forever Buff, which means I'm part of 240,000 students and alums created by the CU Boulder Alumni Association. The University of Colorado will always be something I'm very proud to be a part of. The years that I spent going to school and playing football provided me with some of the best memories of my life. So come join me in creating lifelong CU relationships and explore the Forever Buff program.
Don't be mean. Clean your machine.
Americans drink 400 million cups of coffee every day. They don't realize with every caffeine-filled cup, they're drinking their way to many harmful side effects. Caffeine interferes with the body's hormones, leading to... And don't forget jitteriness, upset stomachs, and disrupted sleep. With caffeine, going to the bathroom is the least of your problems.
Honey, the credit fairy doesn't exist.
What?
It's make-believe. Nobody left anything under your pillow.
If there's no credit fairy, then we'll make our credit score go up.
We will, by doing things like paying our bills on time.
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
What?
Last Saturday, the CU club hockey team traveled downtown to the Pepsi Center to take on the in-state rival Colorado State University. Now, both teams were incredibly aggressive throughout the game, taking many shots on goal, 28 for the Rams and 43 for the Buffs. But the Rams took advantage of the shorthanded Buffs in the first by capitalizing on 2 power play opportunities. Going into the second period, the Buffs looked to get on the scoreboard, but it wasn't until after CSU's Adrian Olson and Brandon Hicks added 2 more points to the Rams' lead. About 2 minutes later, while playing shorthanded, CU's J.P. Park scored, closing the gap 4-2. Early in the final period, CSU's Brandon McCarthy added 1 more to the Rams. The Buffs answered back with a pair of goals by Brendan Steinkier, and before the late comeback fell short, the Buffs gave the Rams their 8th win of the season, losing 5-4.
Even though the 2011 men's basketball season has yet to start, some fans are already getting excited for next season. ESPN ranked the recruiting class of 2012 21st in the nation after head coach Tad Boyle announced 5 national letters of intent. 2 signees, power forward Josh Scott and forward Xavier Johnson, are nationally ranked in the top 100. Rounding out the 5 are point guard Xavier Talton from Sterling, Colorado, forward Chris Jenkins from Detroit, Michigan, and forward Wesley Gordon from Colorado Springs.
The Buffs look to take lessons learned against USC last week into this weekend's game against Arizona.
Absolutely. So let's then send things over to the Sports Mag Double Team desk, where Alexis Perry and Audie Streetman have some more.
Hello and welcome to Double Team. I'm Audie Streetman sitting alongside Alexis Perry, and today we have some football to discuss. CU took on USC last week. It was a disappointing loss. We lost 17-42, and this marks the season 1-9. We've lost 7 straight games so far, which is the first time in nearly 3 decades that it's been this way. Back in 1980, we started the season off with 0-7, and I mean overall, also it's the longest losing streak we've had since the 2005-2006 season, where we lost 10 consecutive games throughout both of those seasons. So we definitely have something to work on. I'm not sure what it is right now. Do you have any ideas?
I mean, as a whole, this entire team needs to step it up in every aspect of the word step it up. You know, our secondary, they struggle really bad. They really need to be able to contain. They need containment is something that is always said, and our secondary really needs to, you know, practice that. Tyler Hansen, you know, this was his first year as a starting quarterback. Yes, he played a little bit behind Hansen over the years, but you know, as his first year as a starting quarterback, he did a pretty good job. And, you know, we thank him for his hard work. And, you know, it's tough to get a team first season in the Pac-12, you're playing competitive teams, and, you know, to be able to do what he's done so far, I'm proud to be a Buff.
Definitely. I know CU, unfortunately, they went from committing 5 turnovers at Arizona State to making 0 against USC, which is something that we need to work on in the future. USC, they hit 561 total yards in the game, and this is just the 5th straight time that CU has allowed this to happen in a game with over 500 yards. So I think it's a school first. It's never happened before. So far we've only had 3 games in a row where we've had over 500 yards. So we definitely have a lot to work on in terms of yards and turnovers. But I mean, are there any highlights that you can think of from the game?
You know, as a whole, we played well. Obviously not as great as we should have. Like I've said, we definitely need to step it up in every aspect. But you know, that first quarter, you know, we were tied 7-7 at the end of that, which really gave the fans hope that, you know, we were going to be able to be competitive against the Trojans. And unfortunately, you know, Mark Barkley, he just took off and threw those 6 touchdowns, and he's just a guy that we really couldn't compete with the secondary that we have right now. But, you know, in the future, I definitely think that our team will be able to be competitive in this Pac-12 conference.
Definitely. Looking at some USC highlights, quarterback Matt Barkley, he managed to score a USC record with 6 touchdowns in the game. And also wide receiver, another person to look at, Marquise Lee had 2 touchdowns. He had the second 100 yards receiving game of his career. And also wide receiver Robert Woods had 2 touchdowns, which was his 6th 100-yard game of the season. So that's 2 impressive runs for 2 of the players there, and it's the 8th of his career as well. He went over the 1,000-yard mark for the season, which is also pretty impressive for their players. And this is the 2nd time this year that both Woods and Lee topped 100 yards in receiving. So just some USC highlights to look at for the game. I know looking forward, though, we're going to take on Arizona.
Yes.
What's your prediction for the game?
My prediction for the game, this is a game that I definitely think that the Buffs can win. You know, we're looking at, you know, most people, if you were a betting man, would say that the Buffs are going to win by a little over 10 points, so 10 to 11 points. So, I mean, I agree with that. I think this is a game just like Cal and Hawaii that the Buffs can definitely win. I'm going to say that we're going to win 24-10 against this team, but that's tough to say also because, you know, Nick Foles, this guy is a possible NFL quarterback. He has a lot of hype around him, over 3,000 yards so far this season, 22 touchdowns, but 10 interceptions as well. So this is a good quarterback. And so once again, got to bring them up, the secondary. They really need to contain, especially this kind of quarterback. You know, and he's 4th overall in the nation right now, which, I mean, is great for the Wildcats, but for the Buffs, it's definitely going to be an issue. But another thing is, you know, the altitude and the weather here. It's cooling off here in Boulder. So I definitely think that the Wildcats might struggle a little bit. You know, they're coming from the desert. It's a little bit warmer over there. So I think the weather might actually help the Buffs this weekend against the Wildcats.
I hope so. We'll definitely look for it. That's all the time we have for today. For Audie Streetman, Alexis Perry, we'll send it back to the desk.
Thank you, ladies. Now, on November 5th, CU Volleyball took on the University of California Bears at the Coors Event Center. Even with Kara Schrader's 16 kills, the Buffs couldn't upset Cal, who were ranked 7th in the Pac-12. front of a season-high crowd at home, CU lost by a total of 17 points over a series of 4 games. The Buffs are now 5-20 overall. CU will try for its first Pac-12 conference win as they take on Arizona and Arizona State this weekend in a rematch.
Up next, the women's volleyball team signed some key players for next season.
And we'll have the answer to that renowned trivia question. Don't go away.
Are you running on empty after countless late nights studying? Relying on caffeine to keep you awake throughout the day? According to researchers at Brown University, a shocking 89% of college students nationwide struggle to get the necessary 8 hours of sleep recommended each night. Getting a full night's rest promotes a healthy immune system, supports memory function, and restores energy. Sleep is not a waste of time, and sleep deprivation can have serious negative effects on your academic performance and social life. 8 hours. Get some.
Dude. It wastes energy to leave everything on. It's simple. Just turn it off before you go to sleep.
Do your part. Be energy smart.
Here's my nephew Scruff about to run into trouble again.
Hey, Bobo, where's your video game? In here. Well, look at this. Uh-oh, it's my dad's. You want to hold it? What'll I do?
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies and guns. And you'll see lots of games.
Cool.
For your free copy of my new comic activity book, just write Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652, and help take a bite out of crime.
I want it, I want it. You know trouble can start when the clock hits 3. When there's no place after school for kids to be. Nothing to do but hanging on city streets. When mom and dad are working to make ends meet. Now it's time to beat the street.
With after-school programs, city kids aren't left alone and vulnerable. They keep on learning between 3 and 6, but these programs need your support. Join with the Urban League to keep them going. Call now, because it's
time to beat the street.
Rebuilding years are tough. Nobody knows that better than first-year CU football coach John Embry. But what we want to know is, what do you think about the future for CU football? Do you think the program is A, headed in the right direction, albeit with growing pains along the way, or B, is destined to be a Pac-12 seller team for years to come? Vote for your feelings on our website at cusportsmag.com.
Sunday's exhibition game against Division II Regis was a perfect way for the women's basketball team to get their feet wet. Now, 7 players played at least 20 minutes and led Regis 40-20 at the half. Colorado led by 20 points for the rest of the second half, going on a 30-10 run. Now, senior CU junior Chucky Jeffrey and freshman Lexi Kriesel both led the Buffs with 14 points apiece. The team takes on Northern Arizona November 11th at 5:30 p.m. at the Coors Event Center.
CU volleyball coach Liz Kritza announced the signing of 3 athletes to the 2012 class on Wednesday. Alexis Austin from Houston, Kelsey Keoho from Hawaii, and Nicole Edelman from Boulder signed national letters of intent to play for the Buffs next year. Austin and Edelman were both named top 25 volleyball players in 2012 by ESPN. Keoho was named to the Honolulu All-Stars top 15 list and is one of the top players in her state.
Have you racked your brain to figure out this week's trivia question? If not, here it is one more time. When was the last time CU and Arizona squared off in football? And the answer is way back in 1986, with Arizona winning 24-21. However, CU leads the all-time series 12-1.
Interesting. I definitely did not know that. And also interesting this weekend, obviously, it's going to be senior day as Arizona comes to town to take on the Buffs. Ryan Walters, former player for Arizona, will be on the sidelines coaching for the Cats. Senior day, Ryan Miller, Rodney Stewart, all these guys are going to be gone next year.
It'll be interesting to see. I think Arizona, I mean, if you were looking at the early part of the schedule earlier in the season, you would have said Arizona, UCLA, two games that I think we can definitely win. So we'll see how the Buffs bounce back from USC.
Well, it
there
should
as
be
well.
interesting to see what happens.
All right. Well, don't forget, if you're a veteran, you can go to Arizona game on Saturday for only $10. Come by the UMC patio between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. for the Veterans Barbecue, and you can pick up tickets.
Thank you. Goodbye.